I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my YouTube channel and the website Global Math Institute. We'll look into inverse of trigonometric functions and also inverse composite trigonometric functions. Now, this is a very important exercise for all the students who are going to take pre-calculus. We'll actually deal with exact value of trigonometric functions. That means the special triangles. We'll begin with very simple example like sine inverse of square root 3 by 2, but end with composite functions, as you can see from equation number 1 to 9. I hope that helps you to understand the complete concept. Let's begin with the very first question. We need to find what is sine inverse of square root 3 by 2. So whenever you get square root 3 by 2, you're reminded of a special triangle, which is 30, 60, 90, right? So looking into this triangle, which angle gives you square root 3 over 2? Well, that is 60 degrees, right? And that is how you get the solution. So sine inverse of square root 3 by 2 is basically equal to 60 degrees. So we are getting an angle because we are given the value. The second verse is cos inverse of square root 2 over 2. It is pi by 4 or 45 degrees, depending on what you take up, right? So some students are doing it in radians. In that case, it will be 60 degrees or it is going to be pi by 3, correct? In this particular case, we are looking into cos inverse of square root 2 over 2. So that should be equal to pi by 4 or 45 degrees. Perfect. You can look into the special triangle drawn here. So, or pi by 4. Arc sine minus 1. Now, arc is same as sine inverse, right? So, basically, we are saying arc sine minus 1. So, we are doing sine inverse of minus 1, basically, right? So, arc sine minus 1 is basically equal to sine inverse of minus 1. Now, inverse of sine function is only defined within the interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, correct? So, we're looking into this interval, minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. And as we know, this is minus for minus pi by 2. So that becomes your answer, minus pi by 2, or you can say minus 90 degrees, depending on whether you are working in degrees or in radians. Perfect. Now let's take up the next set of questions, which is arc tan. So you can actually pause the video, write down the answers, and then check with my solutions, correct? So arc tan basically is 45 degrees or pi by 4, right? Simple as that. So it's positive, quadrant 1, pi by 4 or 45 degrees. Arc cos minus half. Now how do you do this when it comes to the negative angle? Sometimes that may be a bit challenging. So let's try to understand this, right? So we want to do arc cos of minus half, right? So for cosine, when we are looking at the domain of function is basically from minus pi to pi, right? You can say from 0 to pi, right? That should be from, let me write down, 0 to pi. So minus half means you are in this quadrant now. That is the angle. And since it is half, you can look into the special triangle, which is 30, 60, 90, and half is when the angle here is 60 degrees, correct? So the answer for this is that related acute angle, or the value is this. Is that clear to you? So it is 180 minus 60, perfect, which is 120 degrees. Make sense? Or you can say 2 pi by 3. So that is the solution for this particular question. So I hope you are getting it right. So for cosine, we are looking into 0 to pi. Now let's do the next one where we have negative but with sign this time, right? So sine inverse of negative square root 2 over 2. So as far as sine is concerned, it is defined from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, correct? In this region, correct? So therefore, the answer should be what? So we are looking into this particular angle, which is minus pi by 4 or minus 45 degrees, right? So this is equal to minus 45 degrees or minus pi by 4. Makes sense? So that is how you are going to take care when the argument is negative, right? Now let's take up the next question, which is sine of sine inverse half, right? So it is like inverse of the function. So once again, let me just visualize it, right, for you. So sine of minus, let's write down, sine inverse of half, right? Sine inverse of half will be what? Well, sine inverse of half is when you look into this particular triangle, which is 30, 60, 90, right? So if you look from the 30 degree side, that is the angle. So it becomes sine of 30 degrees. You are in quadrant 1, right? You are in quadrant 1. And you know, in this quadrant, it's positive. Sine of 30 degrees, correct? And what you get here is again half, right? So what you learn here is when you are in quadrant 1, then sine of sine inverse is the same thing, right? Perfect. Let's take up the next question. Now we are looking into the composite functions, right? So now we have cos of sine inverse square root 3 by 2. So let's once again look into the same special triangle where we have 30, 60, 90, right? So sine inverse of square root 3 by 2 is what? We did it earlier also. Square root 3 by 2 is 60 degrees. And cos of 60 degrees is half. You get the idea. So that is how we are going to solve this particular question. Isn't that simple, right? Well, in case you want to learn from me directly, you can always send an email on the address given. Now we are at the last question, and I'd like you to pause the video and answer this particular question. It's slightly tricky, right? We are now working on sine inverse of minus square root 3 by 2. Now sine inverse of square root 3 by 2. You can again sketch the special triangle to work with. All the examples which we took were with special triangle, right? And for sine, it is 60 degrees. So we could now write this as equal to sine of, now sine inverse of minus. So minus means that we are now taking 60 degrees. Where? In quadrant 4, right? So here 60 degrees, correct? So minus 60, you get the idea, right? So this is basically equals to minus 60 degrees. Or you can write pi by 3. The sine of minus 60 degrees will be what? Well, that is going to be negative of sine of 60 degrees, correct? And that will give you negative of square root 3 by 2. Make sense? So that is how we are going to answer this particular question. I hope the concept is absolutely clear, right? Now, that is how you need to actually solve such question. So I hope you have understood the whole concept. Feel free to write your comment, share your views. If you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.